But, talking about 730s, tell me what a 730 evaluation is and when people use it in custody and visitation scenario in family law court.
730 evaluation is based on Evidence Code 730. And not talking codes, actually an expert will interview both sides, and normally the children, it happens 730 is normally about custody, and it happens when one person wants to gain more custody and go away. 730 evaluation is done by an expert. An expert does what it does, puts people through certain tests, certain interviews to find out who's telling the truth or not, interviews most of the people that they are naming to support them. And at the end of the day, he writes a very lengthy report. In that report, the evaluator will say, I have talked to these people, I have conducted these tests, and based on the outcome of this test, I have arrived to this conclusion that whatever it is that he finds. And based on his findings, he recommends certain custodial arrangements. For example, I have one right now that mother claimed father was doing a lot of things which was not good to the minor child. Father was claiming that mom was hallucinating and mom was suffering from OCD. And we requested a 730 evaluation. 730 evaluator came out and said, well, this is a match made in heaven. Neither one of them are good. He has his own problems and she has her own problems, but one has a dot more than the other. So here's my recommendation. I give you guys 50-50 custody. You guys better find a school in the middle of your homes, and your kid should go to school when she's 3 years old. And if you cannot agree on a school, then dad gets to pick it.
Well, how does a person even decide that they would want a 730 evaluation? Is it one of the parties, both of the parties, the judge? And how do you go about initiating that?
Okay. If one parent thinks that, let's go to custody so I can explain what custody is, okay? And then we get to 730 evaluation, because without knowing what physical and legal custody is, then evaluation doesn't make sense. Custody has two prongs. It's legal custody and it's physical custody. Legal custody is normally shared between the parents, and it really goes to the core of deciding for school, for well-being and health of the child. And parents are to share that and make decisions. And I always say, God forbid something happened to your child, needs surgery, both of you need to make that decision. Driver's license, both of you need to make that decision. Sometimes one parent thinks that the other parent is not of sound mind to make that decision, or incapable, or absent, or many reasons. So wants to gain that legal custody, that decision making for his or her own. One of the reasons that they filed for 730 evaluation, which is done by way of a motion. Every time we seek for an order from the court, we call it a motion. Okay, we motion for this, we motion for that. So one of the reasons that one parent would want to go and ask for evaluation is if that one parent suggests that the other parent cannot make sound decision, and that goes to legal custody. The other part of the custody is physical custody. Physical custody is who the child would live with, and what I tell my clients, where the address of the child is, and the other parent will make the visitation and have custodial time as visitation. There are times that one parent thinks because of the circumstances of the other parent, he cannot or should not be the parent to have a lot of time. Of course, the other side says, you're wrong. No, I'm just as good as you are. So that's another way that one person will file a motion saying, look, put us through the process, come up, go find out what's wrong with the other parent, and give me more custody time, physical custody time. That's another case. The third case is if one parent wants to move away. They both live in Los Angeles, and now one parent thinks Los Angeles is no longer a place to live, wants to move to Florida, but wants to take the child with him or her. Again, it goes to that physical custody, but in a different way, because that parent is seeking much more custodial time with the child by moving away. Well, the courts base everything on what's in the best interest of the child. And this test is supposedly examined by evaluation, which is Evidence Code 730. They send parties and whoever they name, the teachers, the therapists, and they all get evaluated somewhat. And they get interviewed by this evaluator, and a report gets written up and suggests whether it is to the child's best interest to move or live longer with one parent, or one parent has the decision making. And those are the main areas of 730.
But who picks this person who's going to act as the 730 evaluator?
The judge. However, parties may suggest names for the judge to choose from. But most judges, let's face it, attorneys have credibility in front of certain judges. Experts have certain credibility in front of judges, and judges don't want to waste time. Sometimes, if you recall the attorney with the eyeglasses moving around, I mean, he created certain reputation and credibility. So next time this attorney appears before this judge, as I recall it, he will recall it. Okay, so an attorney who always is truthful and never pulls tricks comes across to the judge, and the judge will remember. So next time you say something or the attorney says something, the judge doesn't require a lot of evidence, accepts it, because what we call standing in court or as an officer of the court, we do have the obligation to be truthful, and we are held to that standard, and the judges do hold us to that standard. Same thing goes for accountants that come in and testify. Same thing goes for experts, therapists that come and testify. There are times that judges do listen. I mean, the judges do listen to the experts, but they don't rule as recommendation for many reasons they have. And one reason being the judge may not feel that person is very credible. So judges have a list, not just for the experts, not just for the 730 evaluators, also a list for minors counsels. They pick people that they can trust. They pick people that they believe, and they pick people that they know they go the extra mile to find out the truth. So yes, the judges pick them.
Now, if the judge picks it, does the judge pay for the 730 evaluation? Somebody's got to pay.
Well, Judge Lewis always says, you want it, you pay for it. You want it, you go get it. That's Judge Lewis. If something, okay, there are many ways to do it. one person may ask for 730 evaluation, but the financial situation of the other person may be higher. Let's say the in-house parent is seeking a 730 evaluation, but the other spouse makes the money. It was the breadwinner. So the judges may ask the other side to pay for it. Most likely will. There are times that both parties work and the court will order both parties to share the cost because both of them are requesting custody. So it's something they both want. And there are times the judges come up with, well, the prevailing party will pay. You know, you want it, you pay for it. It's really up to the judge. I've had 50-50, I had 20-80, I had 60-40 split. Judges require you to file what's called income and expense declaration. Income and expense declaration shows what your income is and what expenses you pay for, and basically how much money you have to play with, rather. If one party has more, then maybe a higher percentage gets paid. Remember, when we go to a 730 is because both parties want the same thing. So,
You know, the 730 is an actual report that's typed up by the evaluator and given to the judge.
it's
Is that how it
actually,
works?
it's given to the parties, to the attorneys. And attorneys, okay. Anything goes to the judge, there has to be an agreement. 730 evaluation can be sent to the judge, but unless there is an agreement that the judge can read it, or unless we have the expert to come and testify, that's a hearsay document.
So it's not admissible.
Unless it's admissible by agreement.
Or if the evaluator comes and gets on the stand.
Yes.